أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وجعل منها زوجها ليسكن إليها فلما تغشاها حملت حملا خفيفا فمرت به فلما أثقلت دعوا الله ربهما لئن آتيتنا صالحا لنكونن من الشاكرين. Respected our friends, continuing with the same very verse that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. This verse in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to us that هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ, that it is He who created you مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ, from a single soul. وَجَعَلَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا لِيَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا, and from that soul He made a spouse, so that He, referring to Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu salam, لِيَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا, could find comfort with her. It is on this aspect of لِيَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا that for the last couple of weeks the tafsir has been focused more on this aspect of the verse. Because here where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions لِيَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا, that the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granting Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu salam, Sayyidina Hawa, was so that he could find comfort with her. And this is what nikah brings about. Nikah brings comfort between the husband and wife. However, for there to be comfort between the husband and wife, there are certain principles that the Shariat has laid out, various teachings, the hadith of Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And these are there so that if these ahadith are maintained, and if people practice these guidelines, then for sure there will be لِيَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا, there will be comfort between the husband and wife. How in a marriage can there be comfort between the husband and wife? As long as both the husband and wife play their specific role, the role that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them, they discharge the duties upon them, then there definitely will be comfort between the husband and wife. This is what is imperative. In the last couple of tafsir, we had done the rights of the wife. And we spent 2 or 3 weeks, the tafsir, just on the rights of the wife. And that is one side of it. The other side is rights of the husband. Because in order for anything to work out, or any system to work out correctly, those who have whatever duties upon them, as long as they fulfill those duties, things will work out. That's with every or any organization as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself mentions, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا يَضُرُّكُمْ مَنْ ضَلَّ إِذَا اهْتَدَيْتُمْ, that all you who believe, لَا يَضُرُّكُمْ مَنْ ضَلَّ إِذَا اهْتَدَيْتُمْ, that all you who believe, those who have been misled, they cannot cause you any harm. إِذَا اهْتَدَيْتُمْ, if you are on guidance. mean that if an individual is on guidance, then those who are off guidance and those who have been misled, them being misled or them trying to mislead this person will not harm this individual. لا يضركم من ضل إذا هديتم. That as long as you are on hidayat. And this one ayat is actually the solution to all the various dysfunctions that we have in society and all the ills that we have in society. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is stressing on the fact that لا يضركم من ضل إذا هديتم. If each and every single individual sees towards his or her hidayat, then automatically society will be reformed. For example, 10 people sat here. If 10 people who are sat here, each one reforms themselves, and there are 10 individuals reformed in society. 20 people reform themselves, that's 20 people reformed from society. 100 people reform themselves, and that is 100 people reformed in society. In this way, if each individual reforms himself or herself, then the whole society is reformed. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that if you are reformed and if you have hidayat, then those who are misled cannot mislead you. Meaning that if each and every single person discharges his or her duty, then everybody's duties will be fulfilled. The rights of the entire society will be fulfilled if every person fulfills whatever rights upon them, duties upon them. But if each and every single one is demanding and requesting for his and her own rights, then who's going to fulfill the rights of others? And this is the type of society that we live in, where every person is demanding their rights. Now, never mind the entire society and the rights people are demanding in society, because we focus on marriage here. In marriage itself, the husband, he's demanding his rights, and the wife, she demands her rights. So he's always complaining about his rights, that you're not fulfilling these rights of mine, those rights of mine, and these rights and those rights of mine. So he's complaining away with that. And the wife, on the other hand, she's also complaining to the husband that you're not seeing to this rights of mine, those rights of mine, and that rights of mine. So in this way they're demanding. The husband is saying, this is what I want. And the wife is saying, these are what I want from you. These are what my demands are, and he's saying, these are what my demands are. In this way, each one is just demanding, but nobody is fulfilling. And as long as nobody is going to be fulfilling anybody's rights, nobody's rights and duties are going to be fulfilled. And for that reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given certain responsibilities to the husband and certain responsibilities to the wife. So in this way, when both sides see towards the fulfillment of rights, then there will always be a successful marriage and a successful system. And this principle, our Deen and Shariat has laid in every aspect of life. For example, with regards to various aspects of other life, for example, zakat. Although our system now is a little different in zakat, but in the past during the time of Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, zakat was paid and given in the form of animals, cows and camels and that. Because that was what the stock was. And this zakat was not given to any organization, but it was gathered and it was given to the public treasury, to the Baytul Mal. And from there it would then be distributed to the poor and the needy. And for this, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam had actually appointed, and they were appointed from the government, you can say. They were appointed by Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam as amils. And by amils, not the amils that you might have in your mind, not the jarpunk ones. These were those whose their job was to go and collect the zakat from people. So their job was to go out and collect zakat from people. So now here you had those people who collect zakat, and then you had those people who had to give and discharge the zakat. So you've got two different people with different responsibilities and duties. Now in order for this to be discharged correctly, what does Nabi Karim sallallahu ta'ala sallam say? Nabi Karim sallallahu ta'ala sallam specifically tells the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala with regard to these matters and these aspects of zakat, that la jalaba wa la janaba. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically mentions, la jalaba wa la janaba, wa la tukhus sadaqatuhum illa fi durihim. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically mentions Abu Dawud riwayat, where he says to the Sahaba Allahu Ta'ala, look, there are those who are going to acquire the zakat, whose duty is to collect the zakat, and then there are those who are going to be giving the zakat. For those who are going to collect the zakat, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam says to them that la jalaba. What does jalaba mean in terms of zakat? It means that when you go to collect the zakat collectors, you must go to the houses. La tukhuz illa fi durihim. Collect it in their homes. Go to them and collect the zakat. Because what would happen is, because of mischief, if people wanted to do mischief, those collecting the zakat, what they would do is that they would deliberately sit at a distance, expecting that those who are due to pay the zakat, they must come to us and come here and give the zakat to us here. So they would do that. And those who were due to pay the zakat, when the zakat collectors would come, what they would do is, which Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, wala janaba, that they would take their stock and they would go to a distant place. So the tax or the zakat collectors, they would have to travel far to reach them. So one side they would do that they would cause this zulm on the zakat collectors, that they would move their stock and everything away from them, so they had to travel far for it. And on the other side, those who are collecting, they would sit at a distance, so those who got zakat would have to come there to give zakat to them. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam prevented this by saying, wala jalaba wala janaba, that both of you do not do this. But those who are collecting zakat, do not sit aside expecting people to come and give it to you there. But wala tukhuz illa fi durihim, but go to their homes and collect it there from their homes itself. So this way Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given certain ahadith and right duties to those who duty it is to go and collect the zakat. And then those who are going to pay the zakat, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that إِذَا أَتَاكُمْ مُصَدِّقُ فَلَا تَصَدَّقُوا عَنْكُمْ وَهُوَ عَنْكُمْ رَاضٍ. Where Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions the riwayat of Muslim, that when those who are due to collect the zakat from you come for the zakat, then do not allow them to leave from you, but in a condition that they are pleased. That they are pleased with you. That they are coming for a specific reason and a specific duty that they need to discharge. So when they come to you, do not now make things difficult for them. Do not make things difficult for them, that you say, oh, come tomorrow, come the day after, or that you're busy, come back some other time. So Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when they come to you, then make sure that they leave from you in a condition that they are pleased in having come and collected the zakat from you. So in this way, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given a hadith and teachings to both sides. Those who take the zakat, collect the zakat, and those who are going to give the zakat. So in this way, if both see to their sides, then what will happen is that system of zakat, collecting zakat, will become easy. That if one of the two starts demanding their rights, that the one who collects the zakat is saying, no, why should I have to go there to take the zakat? He should come to me to give the zakat. So I want to be able to sit here and they come and give the zakat to me. And on the other side, those who are discharging the zakat, they want now the person should come all the way to them only to give the zakat, to collect the zakat. So in this way, if they just demand, nobody's rights will be fulfilled, and this system will not function correctly. So for that reason, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically mentioned on both sides that this is what you need to do. So in order for this implementation of this organization of collecting and distribution of zakat is carried out correctly. In the same way with regards to this union between husband and wife, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam there as well has given various ta'limas and teachings and hadiths to the women folk, that they discharge that from their side, and that for the husband. And that the husband, he discharges those. So if both are discharging their duties, then you will find that this aspect which Allah Ta'ala mentions, لِيَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا, this will definitely be found within the marriage. But the reason why we do not find this in our marriages is, as I mentioned to you, that where there is one or the two is demanding, or both are just demanding what they want but they're not willing to give. Last couple of weeks we had done the hukuk, the rights of the wives. So now the wives, they will remember all their rights. They will remember their rights. and they will demand their rights. But they won't remember the rights of the husband. And vice versa, the husband, he remembers all the ahadith and all his rights. But then he doesn't remember the rights of the wife. This is what happens. Especially if we go to any gathering where these things are mentioned, then the wives, they will pick up upon all those things which the husbands need to be doing. And they will say to the husband, did you not hear this, did you not hear that? This is what Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said, this is what the Deen and Shariat says. Reminding him what he needs to be doing. Oblivious of what she needs to be doing. And on the other side, the husband, he'll be doing the same. Remembering everything that the wife needs to be doing for him, and then going home and reminding her and giving her the lesson on that, but forgetting what he needs to be doing for her. And it is because of this imbalance that in our homes there is no comfort within our homes. There are always issues and problems and arguments and quarreling in the home because of this imbalance there is with regards to the rights on either side. And this needs to be balanced out in order for things to work out correctly, just the way those who drive cars. Your ties need to be balanced. It needs to be aligned. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to be trying to pull towards the right, and it's going to go towards the left. You're trying to go to the right, and it'll pull it towards the left. Alignments are there. Then that car is going to run smoothly in a straight line as it's meant to on the road. And this is what we need to also acquire and have in our marriages, is where there should be this alignment. And the alignment is where both see towards the right of one another. Because this institution of nikah, and I mentioned this in the introduction of this ayat as well, is something that is very, very important. Because it has an effect on entire society. And we can understand this just from a hadith of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In this hadith of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions that shaitan, he places his throne on the sea. That he puts his throne there. Because he wants to show that, look, I've got my own throne as well. And then the shaitan, he sits there and he sends out all his other, the shayateen, his workers and his agents and his jailers. They go out and they start causing fitna between people. And they draw people towards the disobedience of Allah. And then at the end of the day, they all come back and report back to the main man. Each one coming and saying that this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is what I have done. Each one comes. And one comes and he says that I stopped so-and-so person from going for salah. That he was on his way for salah. And then while he was on his way for salah, he met up with some of his friends and his mates. And in that what happened is his mates started talking to him, and in that talking, and that what happened is that they kept on talking, that he forgot the time of salah. Due to which then he thought, well, I've missed salah, so I'll do it up later. But in that process, because he was still talking away with his friends, he didn't have the chance or even the time or even remember that he needs to do it up later, so he totally, his salat went. In this way he comes and he reports it to shaitan, look, I prevented him and I stopped him from salat. Then another one comes and he says that, look, this person had the intention of keeping nafal fast. But then I made him lazy and I put this in his mind, and due to this and that he didn't fast. So he had this intention of doing this good deed and that good deed. So they all come mentioning whatever they have done with regards to causing these people to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But each one comes and says that this is what I've done, that is what I've done. Shaitan says to them, Ma sana'tu shay'an. Ma sana'ta shay'an. Shaitan says to them, we haven't done anything at all. The one who comes and says that, look, I prevented him from performing salah. Shaitan says to him that you have not done anything. The one who says, I prevented him from doing this good deed, that good deed. Shaitan says to all of them that you have not done anything at all. Go and do something better. You haven't achieved much at all. In this one shaitan comes. And when he comes and he says to Iblis that مَا تَرَكْتُهُ إِلَّا فَرَّكَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ زَوْجِهِ إِمْرَتِهِ. He comes and he says to shaitan, مَا تَرَكْتُهُ حَتَّى تَفَرَّقَتْ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ إِمْرَتِهِ. That I did not leave so-and-so person until I did not create a friction between him and his wife. That I didn't leave him. I remained there on him, with him, until I created friction between them. When Shaitan and Iblis hears this, the Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, فَيُدْنِيهِ إِلَيْهِ, that Shaitan draws this, Iblis draws this Shaitan close to him. He draws him close to him, and he becomes pleased with what he has done, and when he says to him, وَيَقُلْ نِعْمَ أَنْتَ, but he said to them that you have not done anything at all. But for this one, Shaitan then says to him, the ni'ma anta, that you have done a very good job. Jobs are good. You've done a very good job. He says, you've done a very good job. And he draws him close to him. And the narrator mentioned that when Sayyidina Jabir Allah Ta'ala has mentioned this hadith. So one of the narrators, Amash, mentions that Arahu, that I see him, that when he says فَيُدْنِيهِ, that he draws him close to him, that he means فَيَلْتَزِمُهُ, that he actually embraces him. Being that Shaitan embraces who? They've come and said various different things. That, look, I've taken him to the nightclub. I've made him commit zina. I made him drink. I've made him forgo his salah. I've made him do so and so action, but Shaitan is not pleased with that. But the one who comes and he says that I've created friction between the husband and wife. Shaitan likes what he has done. Shaitan applauds what he has done. Shaitan congratulates him on what he has done. And Shaitan draws him close to him on what? On creating friction between the husband and wife. But why is this? Why is this friction so important? The reason being is that the Sharihin and commentators of the hadith have mentioned that here, because of this great institution of nikah, of marriage, that here this friction that Shaitan causes between the husband and wife, the effects of that is not just one effect, but it is muta'addi. It has multiple effects. That when husband and wife quarrel with one another, or when husband and wife have a breakdown in their relationship, then that leads to not just one ill effect, but it leads towards many ill effects, and it leads towards many destructions and many other wrongs and ills that happen in society. On what? On the mere basis of this one thing, of friction between the husband and wife. On friction between the husband and wife. So that it is something that doesn't just remain restricted to that one thing, but it spreads. And they go to that extent, meaning that now there is friction between the two. Because of that, it has an effect on them mentally. It has an effect on the ibadat as well. It then leads to all of other vices and that. It can even lead towards the husband committing zina. It can lead towards all sort of other vices and that. And there, where there are children, and where there are children involved in all the more, it can lead towards more destruction. Lead towards more destruction and the ill effects that it has on the children. So on that basis it shows how important it is that the relationship between the husband and wife should be a strong and correct relationship. Otherwise this is how Shaitan, that he influences and the effect of Shaitan on such a marriage. Now coming back to this point of Yaskur Ilayha, in last week's tafsir and the tafsir prior to that, couple of tafsirs were mentioned with regards to the rights of the wives. And I mentioned last week that this from today, this week we shall do the rights of husbands. So this is one of which now, where the women folk were enjoying themselves the last couple of weeks, feel that now the husbands are getting it correct, and so now it is their turn. Now they should adhere and listen as well to the rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the husbands. Now one aspect, one verse in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly mentions is الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض. Allah Ta'ala mentions, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the position of the husbands is which? That Allah Ta'ala says that الرجال قوامون على النساء, that the rijal, the men, they are in charge over the women. They are the dominant ones over the women. This is a position of the husband in a marriage. But now when we hear this verse, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الرجال قوامون على النساء, we tend to misunderstand what the word قوامون means. And in our minds we think that it means that the husband, he is now the ruler and he is the king. We have that in our mind. The qawamun means that he is a hakim and he is a ruler. Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, He doesn't utilize the word of him being a hakim, a ruler or an amir. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means qawamun. And qawamun actually means what? He is the guardian. He is the provider. He is the protector. That is what the role of the husband is. الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. That men, due to their physical nature and mental strength, they are the guardians of women. That is the position that they have. So first of all, the husbands here should not think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them the hakim. So they are now the rulers in the home. And they take this and they actually take this literally thinking that now they are the rulers and they are the leaders in the home, so they can do and mete out whatever they want. Because many husbands regard this and take this verse to mean such. As Tarbiyah mentions, that a colleague of his had mentioned, that when I go home, when I am with my family, then my wife and children have no courage at all to even come and sit in front of me. They have no courage to come and sit in front of me. I asked him on one basis, how is that? To which he mentioned that after all, I'm the hakim in the house. I'm the ruler in the house. So when I'm the ruler in the house, so my awe and my fear is so much upon them that they fear to come in front of me. And this is what many husbands or fathers think. That this is what Allah Ta'ala is saying here, رِجَالَ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ, that by them being in authority, it means that now they sit there with the whip or the stick. And everything is will be done according to their rule. That is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here. And if there are any husbands who deal with their wives in such a manner, then Hazrat Hakim al-Taymi himself mentions that if husbands always remember this verse of الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ, then they should not forget the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that this creation of mankind of being husband and wife, the purpose of that is يَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا, the husband finds comfort from his wife, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Well, Allah mentions, but we have created between them friendship and bondship and love and compassion. So as again, Allah mentions that the husband should not forget that relationship which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions. A relationship of what? Not of a hakim and mahkum, not of a ruler and those who are under him, not of that of a master and slave. So where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ, where women think and people think, or society nowadays thinks that it means that Muslims are saying, Islam says that treat your wives like they are slaves. This is not the relationship that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to here, of that of a master and his slave. But here of that the husbands are those who are the guardians over the women. But at the same time, the relationship between them is one of muwaddatam wa rahma, one of love and affection. And a simple way to understand this is, because we are living in such a society in times where each and every single individual wants their own freedom and liberation. And again, going back to what I mentioned in the beginning, everyone is demanding my rights. So we are living in such a society that the women folk and the wives, women in general, they want to be equal to men. Equal power to men. But whatever man can do, I can do as well. So they want to be equal. They want their own freedom and they want their own liberation. Whereas here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that look, if the man is going to be free and the woman is going to be free, then this system of the home is not going to run. For that there needs to be one who is going to be the dominant figure. The one who's going to be the guardian, the protector. Who will make the decisions with regards to how this union needs to function. And just see how Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions in the hadith that if two of you are traveling together somewhere, even if it is just a small travel somewhere, if two of you are traveling together, then appoint one to be the Amir. From the two, even if you just two of you traveling somewhere, appoint one who will be the Amir. So now just imagine here, where people are traveling from Bradford to Dewsbury. In just a small travel, Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions that appoint person to be an Amir. So for this small journeys, Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying that look, from the two, appoint one to be an Amir. Otherwise what will happen is that one will say, look, we're going to Dewsbury, take the M606, is quicker. The other will say, no, let's take the other road, whichever is called. 638. The third will say, no, I know another shortcut. And the fourth will say, no, I know another way, better way to get there. Now 4 individuals are going to say, let's take this route, that route, that route, that route. Which route are we going to take? And then in what case, a lot of times what happens then, they get confused. Or if then the driver decides, no, okay, I'll listen to so-and-so. Now they'll feel, why did he listen to him and not listen to me? So already there's friction within that group. So there's just few of them sitting in one car traveling from one place to the other, but just on that aspect what happens now, there's friction already. Why did he listen to him and not me? Whose choice will it be with regards to which route we're going to take? So just on that self you find that if they want to come from Bradford to Dewsbury, they probably won't get to Dewsbury, just on that ikhtilaf itself of which route we're going to take. Due to that, they won't get anywhere at all. So for a small travel, a small distance from Bradford to Dewsbury, we're told to appoint one person to be an Amir. And that Amir will say, look, the best is, let's just take so-and-so route. And that is fine. And you take that route, you'll get to your destination. For that small route, we have an Amir. Then just imagine for that journey, which is for life. That when a husband and wife get married, they are on a journey together, and that journey is together for entire life. So for that small journey where they will appoint an Amir, then why should we not have an Amir for this long journey in life with one another? Because this is what husband and wife are. Husband and wife, they are the two wheels on a car. That if you just have the one, it's not going to function. You need to have both sides there. So the husband and wife, you need to have both. With these both wheels, you'll find that this conveyance of their marriage, this marriage will move forward. But with it being a long distance in life, a long journey in life, there needs to be one person who is going to be the Amir, who will make the decisions. It is only then that things will function. Otherwise, what will happen is that if a husband and wife are planning now to go from Dewsbury to Bradford, take it that way, that tomorrow morning they're going to Bradford. But now there itself you'll find that the husband, he's saying that I want to go at 10 o'clock. After Fajr, I want to go to sleep and go at 10 o'clock. The wife, she is saying that no, I want to go at 8 o'clock. Now she is saying 8 o'clock, he's saying 10 o'clock a.m. and he's saying 10 o'clock a.m. And you'll find 8 p.m. will come, 10 p.m. will also pass, and they'll still be sat in Dewsbury, arguing what time they should supposed to be going. But what happens is that in that argument, they miss the 8 o'clock target, they miss the 10 o'clock target, so it's a case of forgetting now we're not going to sit at home. So all the plans have become destroyed now. And now the husband is stuck up, as if swollen a lemon. And the wife, she's also stuck up now. Why? Because she's stuck up that he didn't listen to him, we didn't go at 8 o'clock. He's stuck up because he wanted to sleep and he could go at 10 o'clock. So the whole day they spent in arguing. Now they finish argue with regards to timing. They couldn't go. Now after the next argument comes with regards to, look, it was because of you we couldn't go. And he said, no, it was because of you that we couldn't go. So the morning went in arguing what time to go, and the rest of the day goes in what time they should have gone. So the whole day just goes in arguing. And in this way this friction is created within the home. Whereas a simple thing is, where there would have been the leader, the hakim in the home, and decision would have been made as to what time is appropriate to go, and that time is the one that we go upon, and you find that the system within the home would run and function correctly. It would run and function correctly. So it is on that basis that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the men, الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ, that the men are those who are the dominant ones and they are the guardians over the women. So when that is the case and that is the role that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the manfolk, then the women should realize and understand this, that the husband, he from the two of us, he is the Amir. But what type of Amir again? Both need to understand. The women need to understand that look, he is going to be the leader in the home. And that is the position that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him. So that is his role. Not that the husband is saying one thing to me and I'm deciding to do something else. Where I say, no, in this house I do whatever I want. This is what happens where the wives are saying to the husband, who are you to tell me what to do? I will do what I wish to do. It's a free world, free choice, I can make my own decision, my own choice, and I can go out and I can do what I wish to do and what I desire to do. Who are you to tell me or stop me from doing anything? So as she has that attitude, and on the other extreme where the husband, he has this attitude of no, that's it, I've said it and that's it, no, nothing further. I am the ruler, I am the hakim, and I can judge, and I can now mete out my tyranny as I want to. That is not the case. The example here is of two friends. Now these two friends are traveling together, and these two friends make one person as the Amir between the two. So what is the Amir? But they're still friends. Nothing has changed. Just because between the two friends, if one is made the Amir, doesn't now mean that he now becomes a tyrant. And he says, oh, now we're not friends anymore. Now you're my slave and I'm the master. No, he's still the Amir, but the relationship of friendship still exists and remains. And this is what needs to remain and exist within. And the man folk should understand that when he goes out saying that, look, I am the Amir, I am the Amir. Then what is the duty of the Amir? What is the position of the Amir? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, Sayyidul Qawmi khadimahum. That the Amir is not the one who sits and tells everybody else, do this, do that, and do this and do that. This is what we think that the Amir means that I am the ruler. I am the Badsha, I am the ruler, I am the king. So I sit and tell everybody else to do everything. But Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, no. The Sayyidul Qawmi, the leader of any nation, khadimahum, he is their server. That he is made the Amir. Why? So he is the Amir there, so not that people come and do things for him. He is the Amir, so he should be doing the khidmat of people. This is what the position of being an Amir is. As the Mufti Shafi rahmatullahi mentioned at one occasion, a few students were traveling with one of the Ustads, Mullah Izaz Ali rahmatullahi. Mullah Izaz Ali rahmatullahi was known as Shaykhul Adab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him a lot of understanding and knowledge, and he was a master of Arabic language, Arabic grammar. He was known as Shaykhul Adab. So the Ustad was traveling with them. And Hazrat Mullah Izaz rahmatullahi had mentioned to them that look, we're traveling as a group, then we should appoint the person to be an Amir. Hazrat Mufti Shafi rahmatullahi, the students had mentioned that Hazrat, we've already got a made Amir. We are students, you are the Ustad. So there's no choice of appointing anybody else to be the Amir. So when you are the Ustad, so you are the ready-made Amir anyway, so you are Amir. Mullah Izaz Ali rahmatullahi said to them that look, are you sure about this? They said, yes, we'll go. So he said, okay, fair enough. If you have appointed me to the Amir, then fair enough, I am your Amir. And what is the duties there? That whatever the Amir says, you need to abide. The whole aspect he is, Amir is that you should obey the Amir. And if you accepted that, he said yes. Then Hazrat Mufti Shafi rahmatullahi mentions that the chain that they were traveling with, as soon as that chain came, Hazrat Izaz Ali rahmatullahi started picking up the luggage of the students. And he started putting it on his shoulder and started putting it on his head. And he started lifting the luggage of the students. And the students, they became, worried then, saying, this is an insult to us that, how can our Ustad be doing this? How can our Ustad be carrying our luggage and that? So they quickly ran to take it off, and he immediately scolded them and he told them, look, what was the condition? You make me the Amir, and you have to make I.T.A of the Amir. And the Amir is what? Khadimahum, he is the Khadim of the people. So when you have made me the Amir, then now you have to make I.T.A of the Amir. And obedience of the Amir is that let me do what my duty is. This is what being the Amir is. So those husbands who at home will go on and on and say, look, I am the Amir, I am the Amir, then act as an Amir as well. Do the duties of the Amir within the home as well. And then you'll find, so this is what happens, we're just demanding, but we're not understanding what our roles are. So one aspect which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here is الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. And with regards to this aspect, my dear friends, and the various ahadith, because there will be various ahadith I'll mention, and various things that I mentioned in the past as well with regards to the rights of the women. Very, very important that we take a lesson from Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My beloved Shaykh down Alif Billah Hazrat Nashaki Muhammad Akhtar sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. With these extremes we have in a home, the husband gives an example. One is on one side you have one husband, that he enters the home, he enters the home like Fir'aun. He's a pharaoh there. He's a Fir'aun. The Badshah, the king in the home. So he enters and he's now just what? Demanding things. He's just sort of as a tyrant. And due to which the kids are scared to come to him. And as soon as he comes into the home, the kids are, running away. And this is what happens that the poor wife, she's looking forward for the morning. Why? Because she knows Papa said the husband will be out of the house. So he's out of the house, she's happy. She's enjoying herself, she's relaxed throughout the day. And then when she now sees that now he's coming towards tea time, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, now you find that her blood pressure starts going up. Her heart starts beating now. And now she starts becoming anxious, and that look, the tyrants. Not the husband, tyrants, he's going to come back any moment. And this is exactly what happens. She's now fearing the husband coming in the home, that I don't know how his mood is going to be today. Not knowing how his mood will be today. And depending on his mood, either if he's in a good mood, the time was great. And if he's in a bad mood, then I've had it. So she's worried here, not knowing what mood the husband will be in. And then as soon as he comes, and then if she is late in any aspect at all, or if the food is laid there under the sadaqah or so, and that's it, he's now hitting out at her. Any deficiency in the food, and he's hitting out at her. And as soon as the father walks into the home, the kids are lagging it. One's hiding behind the city, one is hiding upstairs in his room, and another kid is hiding somewhere else. Why? Because the tyrant has entered into the home. So this is the one aspect that we have in the home. Where the wife, she's fearing the husband coming home. The kids are fearing the husband going home. And if he comes and if he has told her beforehand, if they go, it's that time of the month where I'll be going for my 3 days. She's like over the moon. Over the moon now. And this is the time that we have, he's gone, I've got a bit of rest. Whereas that's not the case. And why this happens is because of that aspect of where the husband takes it literally. The Ar-Rajalu Qawwamun ala Nisa. I am the boss. I am the Amir in the house. And he lives as a tyrant in the home. Dear friends, it doesn't work that way at all. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And again, remember, as I mentioned to you, he is the Amir, but he's Amir on that basis that look, he is the dominant from the two, but this relationship between the two is one of love and compassion. It's one of love and compassion. So that if the husband is gone out for 3 days, then the wife at home should be sat there counting the hours and the minutes. That when Sunday evening comes and he'll be back home as well. That she should be missing him. Not on the contrary that she's glad that he's gone and he's glad that he's gone in Jamaat as well. That he feels that I've got a break at least. Although I'm sure that the Satis don't go out in Jamaat for that reason. And you shouldn't be either. You shouldn't be going for that reason either. Otherwise there won't be any qurbani. Where there's love between the husband and wife and now to separate and go in the path of Allah, there'll be more qurbani then. And if things are not good in the home, and this is a good excuse to leave the home, then this isn't going to be any qurbani. So it should be a case of where he can't wait to get back home and she can't wait for the husband to come back home. In our marriages nowadays we don't have that. The husband, he can't wait to leave the home to go to work and go to see his friends, and the wife can't wait for him to leave the home as well. He dislikes coming home in the evening, so he wants any excuse that after work, overtime, after work, second job, after work, this taqaza, that taqaza. So he just wants to be outside of the house. Because he doesn't want to be at home. And she, anything to keep the husband outside the home. So if he's saying that, look, overtime tonight, no problem, yes, we need the money. Meanwhile, she wants a space. Next day he's saying, I've got gush. Fair enough, you have reward for it. Third day he's saying, it's our mashwara. Fair enough, go for that puri ijazat, go for that. Fourth day he's saying, now we've got some other taqaza. Fair enough, go for it by all means. So here we just look, the husband is looking for excuses not to be at home, and the wife is looking for excuses not to have the husband at home. Whereas this is not the whole point of marriage, is that there is comfort and enjoyment and love and affection between the husband and wife, and they want and they enjoy being with one another at home. And it is a case of the husband understanding these aspects of the wife, that look, although I am the Amir, but where it is a case of him understanding that in the relationship here, there are going to be occasions wherein the wife is now going to become a bit displeased with some matters. And he should be understanding of that. And we find this with who? None other than that of Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. On an occasion, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, that, "O Aisha, when you are displeased with me, then I know that you are displeased with me." And how is that? Because when you are pleased with me, and things are fine, you are happy with me, then when you take an oath, you say that, "La bi Rabbi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam." When you take an oath, you say by the name of Muhammad. Qasam on the name of Muhammad. And when you not, you say by Rabbi Ibrahim. You say the name of Sayyidina Ibrahim. Is this not the case? Is this not the case? Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha gives a beautiful reply, in which she says, "Ajal, yes, it is like such." But then she says to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Inni la ahjuru illa ismak." But O Nabi of Allah, all I leave out is your name only. I only leave your name out, but in my heart is you. I may not be saying the name Muhammad and changing with Ibrahim, but in my heart is only you. What beautiful words she said to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, that is the case. But here, a couple of things. Here, what is the Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He's not getting upset here. Then what is wrong with Aisha? Why is she not taking the name of my name Muhammad, and why is she taking the name of Ibrahim instead? Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam understands that, look, at this moment our relationship here is not of a Nabi and an Ummati. Our relationship here is one of husband and wife. And in this relationship between husband and wife, there is going to be times when the wife is going to be upset with the husband. So when she is upset with the husband, then it is something that is understandable that she is going to be upset at that moment. The husband needs to be understanding upon that. So Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not reprimand her that, "What is wrong with you? Don't you, I am the Amir, and I am the Nabi of this Ummah, why you should be taking my name and not that of Sayyidina Ibrahim, I know theirs." But Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam was fine with it. And also see the love between the two that Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala mentions, that, "O Nabi of Allah, I leave your name out, but that's all that I leave out. So my tongue is, your name is not there on my tongue, but in my heart is only you." Which shows what the relationship there was, what? One of love and affection between the two. Another riwayat we just did a couple of days ago in Mishkat, in the morning Alim classes. Beautiful riwayat. Of Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, where she mentioned that one night Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not there with her. So she for a moment felt that Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam has left her and gone off to maybe one of the other Azwaj Mutahharat. So she went out to see where Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam has gone. So this is natural. When there's one wife, you're going to have these type of feelings there. So she goes out to look for Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but she finds that Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam is in Jannatul Baqi. So when she sees him there and she sees that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is returning, she quickly runs home. So when she runs home, she's obviously out of breath, and obviously her face has changed as well, and she's also feeling a bit ashamed on the fact that, look, she thought that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam might have left her and gone off to one of the other Azwaj Mutahharat. So anyhow, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered and he understood. And then he said to her that, "Oh Aisha, what had happened? Did you feel a bit of jealousy or what? Did you feel a bit of jealousy or what? A bit of ghairat in you?" You see, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala mentions that how can a woman or a wife like me not feel jealousy on a husband like you? How can a wife like me not feel jealousy on a husband like you? This is the relationship between who? Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Azwaj Mutahharat. And Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not just the Amir in the home, but Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not just the Amir of this ummah, but Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the Amir, is the Imam al-Anbiya. The Imam of all the Anbiya, but in the home, this is how he lives with his wives. Another incident, on one occasion, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam was seen as Sauda radiallahu ta'ala anha. Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is a ruling in all aspects as well, that where a person has more than one wife, then he has nights that he needs to distribute amongst them. Customer. And this needs to be fair and equal. Unless any of the wives forgo their rights or their nights, and she can give that to one of the others, like Sayyidina Sauda radiallahu ta'ala anha, She had given hers to Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. So Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha had two nights. One was her own night and the other night was that of Sayyidina Sauda radiallahu ta'ala anha. And this is something that is very, very important. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the hadith that where a person has more than one wife, but if he doesn't show equality between them on the day of Qiyamah, he'll be resurrected with flesh on only one side of his body. You know, people have a lot of desire, a lot of shauq, dusri bibi. Now, second marriage, third, fourth as well. And always reminding the wives to remember in usul number 1. Usul number 1, Afsal got 2, 3, 4. This is what Islam Shariat has given me. So he's always reminding us. So he has a lot of shauq and desire towards having more than one wife. Here Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that one who doesn't show equality in this matter, during the day doesn't matter. It's not true. During the day he can be with whoever he wants to. With regards to nights. But if he doesn't show this equality that is there, then on the day of resurrection he will be resurrected with only flesh on one side of his body. Hazrat Hakim al-Multani rahmatullah alayhi. And these are for those husbands who either have more than one wife, who have that desire, that have the show that I want to get married again. So think twice before you do it. Hazrat Hakim al-Multani rahmatullah alayhi, the perfect example. And Hazrat Hakim rahmatullah alayhi had two wives as well. But look at the equality between them. That Hazrat Hakim al-Multani rahmatullah alayhi had two homes of the wives. But his own personal possessions, he wouldn't keep there, he would keep it in the khanqa. Why? So that none of the wives should feel that, look, he keeps his stuffs at her, so he's more attached at her house than my house. And as it even mentions, although this is not bound on an individual, but this is the extreme taqwa in these matters. That Hazrat Hakim al-Multani would mention that whilst I'm with one of the wife, I find it incorrect to even think of the other one whilst being with the one. And his equality between them was such that on one occasion somebody came and gifted 2 pieces of cloth for both wives. Badi Pirani and Choti Pirani. 2 pieces of cloth. What did Hazrat Ali Rahmatullahi do? Hazrat Ali Rahmatullahi took the one cloth and he cut that into half. He took the other and he cut that into half. And he put half from here and half from there, he put that together, and half from here, half of that together. And then he said, okay, give this, send this to their homes. Obviously those there asked us that this kapra now, this cloth now is going to be of no use to anybody at all. So Hazrat Hakim al-Multani mentioned that what should I do? When this person came and gave 2 different pieces of cloth, how now can I do equality besides this? There's 2 different types of cloth here. The quality is going to be different. The price is going to be different. And now how can I choose between who to give who to who? That if I give one to the other one will get upset that look, she got the better quality one. Or she got the more expensive one. So how can I show equality? If you want the 2, then that person knew that there's 2 wives, then he should have brought 2 equal things and it will be easy for to give to them. So here, how can I show equality here? And on another occasion somebody came and he brought 2 watermelons. And again he had a time he chopped both in half and gave half and half from here. So there are 2 total different watermelons. The size is different, the weight is different, and obviously the taste will be different. How do I choose which one to give where? So the Tarbiyah of Ali had chopped them both in half, gave a piece from here and a piece from there and put it together and gave. If a person can do such equality, then by all means, go ahead. And if you can't, then better stay where you are. Just keep on dreaming of it instead. Just stay where you are, you're better there where you are. This is what. And Nabi Kareem was specific with regards to these times that he had allocated and days that he had given for the Azwaj Mutahharat, and then he even made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these are those things which are in my control. That in my control. Hence do not question me or hold me responsible for that which is not in my control. Meaning this is in my control that I spend time equally with the Azwaj Mutahharat. But naturally if I feel some affection towards any of the Azwaj Mutahharat more than anybody else, then that is something which is not in my hands. Because I had immense love for Sayyidina Khadija, and immense love for Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha. This is a natural thing. You can't control that. So Nabi Karim says, that which is not in my control, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do not hold me responsible for that. And Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a lot of affection towards Sayyidina Aisha. That in his final days when Nabi Karim was ill as well, whichever wife he was with, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam would keep on asking that whose turn is it tomorrow? Whose turn is it tomorrow? In this way he would be asking, and Azwaj Mutahharat would understand that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is wanting to hear that it's the day of Aisha. Because he had a more inclination towards her. On this they themselves understood that Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam at this moment would prefer to be with Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. So they then had forgone their days, and they allowed Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be with Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. So even that time in his last moments he was specific with regards to where he should be. And it so happened that when Nabi Karim sallallahu did pass away, it was the day of Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha as well. And Nabi Karim sallallahu passed away in the laps of Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, while Sayyidina Aisha was just there. So, as I mentioned to you, that it was the day of Sayyidina Sauda radiallahu ta'ala anha. And while it was her day, Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she came there, and she came with some mitai or some sweet dish. She made some sweet dish. And she came there and to give to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when she came, Sayyidina Sauda radiallahu ta'ala anha, she disliked it. No, today is my chance. No, it's my day, let him be mine today. Instead, why did she have to come and that too is some sweet dish and that reminded Nabi of her as well? So she was upset with why Sayyidina Aisha came on that day. So Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha gave some mitai, the sweet dish to Sayyidina Sauda as well. And Sayyidina Sauda said, no, I'm not going to eat from there. I'm not going to eat from there. So Sayyidina Aisha said to her that, look, I brought for you as well, you eat from it. And she said, no, I'm not going to eat from there. Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala said that, look, if you're not going to eat from it, then I'm going to take it and I'm going to wipe it on your face. I'm going to throw some on your face. Nabi Karim sat there, and this is happening in front of him. And Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala takes the sweet dish and she goes and she rubs it on the face of Sayyidina Sauda. Sayyidina Sauda then complains to Nabi Karim sallallahu, look what she's done. Nabi sallallahu mentions, Allah Ta'ala says, Jaza'u sayyatin sayya, that the revenge of evil is evil. So you take your revenge and throw some on her face. So Nabi sallallahu is telling her that, Sayyidina Sauda takes some and she goes and she wipes that on the face of Sayyidina Aisha. Where is this taking place? This is taking place in the household of Nabuwwat, dear friends. In the home of the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is the type of relationship and the type of fun they're even having in the home. And then what had happened? While that was happening, the door knocked, and who was it? It was Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala came. And as soon as Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala came, Nabi sallallahu quickly told him, quickly go and wash your face. Don't let him see you in this case. This is probably before the rulings of hijab. Don't let him see you this way, quickly go and wash your face. This is how they're passing their times. In Shawwal Tirmidhi, I also mentioned, I remember the last incident, inshallah, will complete. When Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam is at night to see the Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, and Nabi Karim sallallahu is telling her stories of the 11 wives. And these stories are used in Arabic adab and that there were 11 wives, and each night they were mentioning to their friends of various aspects and qualities of their husbands. But it's a manner in which they explain their husbands in very eloquent Arabic. So the Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioning these type of stories to Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. You know, he's just sat there late at night with Fazaila Haman. He's just sat there with Basi's neighbor. He's just sat there. There's time for that in its time. But here Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam is talking about what? These 11 women talking about their husbands. But Nabi Karim sallallahu is entertaining Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha by mentioning such things to her. And it's fun and joke. Another riwayah that Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala was young when she got married to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was 7 when she got married, and she was 9 when her rukhsati took place, when she left to the home of Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Understand this correctly as well. Dear friends, a girl is mature at the age of 9. Physically, she can become baligh at the age of 9. And there are examples in the world wherein 9-year-olds have even given birth. So she is a female, she is a woman. So do not fall for all this propaganda that people go on with regards to the age of Sayyidina Aisha. And there are some who actually, Muslims, want to change the age and increase the age to something else. Say, no, it's inappropriate this age. No, that isn't the case at all. Look at the girls nowadays, how quickly they grow up. And in the Arab, women grow up quickly as well. So at the age of 9, she was a woman. So there was nothing funny or something uncultured in this aspect of this nikah of Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But when Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, because she was young at that time still, and like any young child at that time, of somebody of tender young age, she had various toys of hers as well. And Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala herself mentions that there were times wherein I would be sat with some friends of mine playing with these things, and as soon as Nabi Karim would come, my other friends, they would then, out of being a bit modest and shy, that they would run away from there. But Nabi Karim would call them back so that they can come and play with me. And so one day Nabi Karim, when he entered in the home, and there was some shelves in the home, and it had a cover over it, a cloth over it, curtain over it. But with the window, so the curtain moved. And when the curtain moved, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw some of my toys that was there. In those toys, Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she had some dolls that she had. These dolls are not the dolls that we have in our mind. Not the various dolls that we have. Now you have Muslim names and Muslim version of it as well. Not these statues. They didn't have that. It was made out, they themselves would sew it themselves. So in this way they would learn the art of sewing as well. So there was those, so Nabi Sallallahu asked, what's that? What is these? And she said that these are my dolls. Nabi Karim mentioned, what is in between the dolls? So there was actually a horse. But this horse had wings. It had wings. So kya kya? Sorry? Yeah. These kids in the front, in the Pegasus. In the form of a Pegasus. So in this way, in the horse had wings on it. Is that? So what had happened is Nabi Sallallahu asked, what is this? She said it's a horse. And because it had wings on it, Nabi Sallallahu jokingly said to her, that since when do horses have wings as well? Since when did horses have wings? So he said, Aisha then said to him, have you not heard that the horse, since Sulaiman alayhi salam's horse had wings on it? Meaning these were sort of fairy tales that kids had grown up. He didn't have such a horse, but it was fairy tales that the kids had grown up with. And Sayyidina Aisha had this in her mind. So she said to Nabi Karim sallallahu, no, the horse of Sayyid Sulaiman had wings as well. And what I'm trying to mention to you is that here this is Nabi Karim sallallahu, but look at the type of conversation that he's having with Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. And these are the things that we need to understand at that time. He's understanding her age, so he's calling her friends back to play with her. He's understanding she's small, so she's got these things to entertain her with. And he's joking with her as well in this aspect. This is the type of bondship and relationship that is there, that is important, that should be there. But at the same time, Nabi was the Amir as well. There was the Nabi Karim walked in and he saw a very fancy hijab parda there. Nabi Karim sallallahu disliked that, and Nabi Karim sallallahu told her to take it down as well. When again said Aisha said Ali that he invited somebody for da'wat, and in that said Fatima said to Sayyidina Ali that it would be good, it would be nice if Sayyidina Nabi Karim could accompany us as well. If Nabi Karim could be part of the da'wat as well. Nabi Karim was called as soon as he walked into the home. Nabi Karim just saw towards the wall, and he saw something and he left, he didn't come. So Fatima ran behind him asking, "Oh Nabi of Allah, what has made you reject our da'wat?" To which he had mentioned that, look, how can Nabi enter such a home in which there is a fancy curtain placed? All it was on the wall they put a sheet of cloth. But it was one which had some design on it, some embroidery on it. And because of that, Nabi Karim some disliked that, he didn't enter into that home. Immediately sees our homes. But that doesn't mean that you can't have such things. This was obviously Nabi Karim, there was certain mayar and standards, of course, in that of the home of the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But that doesn't make it najais. There is ahkam rulings pertaining to that. We'll leave that for some other time. But to mention that where there was times for that, the Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam had revoked, and Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam had obviously admonished them on such aspects as well. But at other times, this is how Nabi Karim's nature was when he was with his azwaj mutahharat. And these are things that we need to understand. And further on, inshallah, there are many other ahadith in the same ayat Ar-Rijalu Qawwamuna 'ala an-Nisa, which show us the rights or the status of the husband. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us all to understand these things and again get that right balance within the marriages and between the understanding between the husband and wife. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.